My name is Rob McMahon from eShare. Today I'm showing you how to set up a MeetingSquared solution within a SharePoint environment. MeetingSquared is a meeting management application that sits in SharePoint Online, Office 365, and users will be able to access meeting content from a device, an app on their device, Windows, iOS, or Android. The first thing that needs to be done is a new SharePoint site set up for a team or committee. So here's a new SharePoint site that has been set up. We can see a standard SharePoint site. What we have is a document library where documents can be created, or a folder structure can be created for that team or committee that has been set up. And there's also a notebook that can be used as a collaborative way to capture information. The MeetingSquared application has already been added to the app catalog, and how we get that to sit here is you can either add lists and libraries and other apps, and you can select the MeetingSquared application, and once that has been done we can come through to site contents, and here we can see that the MeetingSquared application is available. What you'll need to do is trust it, which already has been done, and as we can now see that the MeetingSquared application is available. So as I go back to the home screen, what I want to do is actually create a shortcut through to the application here, and I can do that by adding an app part. So by clicking on the edit icon and insert, I can now add an app part. We have an option to add the MeetingSquared app part, and I click add. This is now generating a banner which creates a shortcut to the application itself. So what I can now do is I've now got my shortcut up to the team to create this site with information and relevant data relevant to their project or team or committee. But our MeetingSquared application will be there to manage the meetings. By clicking on the app part, you then can go through to the web view of the solution, where the administrators would work in creating the agendas for those meetings, and also making sure that the right content was available. What I'm going to do now is actually look through the settings area. So by clicking on the cog, I can come through, and we have various tabs which I will run through. The first one is information about the application. Probably the most important is understanding this URL over here, and this is where you will find the where the application is actually installed. By looking at the application itself, we now have a number of security settings, and here we can change the name of the committee itself. We can also upload a logo through our Pro solution. And we can also change the branding as well. We have two different areas where we can change branding, which will show up at different places on the application itself. We have the ability to categorize some different areas of the solution itself. Sorry, let me just redo that. So for different agenda items, you may have different categories, and here this is where we can change what these are, and we can also add different ones as well. We have some security settings, such as sharing of annotations through the application itself, whether we want those annotations to be able to sync back to the SharePoint site. We have a knowledge URL, which is very important. If we go back to the site itself, we have this document library. And what we have created is the ability for the application for a user to link back to this document library. So what we can do is we can add the URL, and all we need to do is just go back to this area here where the solution is set. We have other security settings around allowing decisions or emailing or printing from the application itself, push notifications, Touch ID where relevant, and offline access so that users can access information when they're on an airplane, as an example. So as we go through these security settings, if we make any changes, we want to be able to save those changes. And then we can move on to other areas. Within our notification, when we publish a meeting, it will send notifications to the users. The notifications typically are around when the meeting is published, that you've been granted access to the meeting, and in all of these we can change the text that is available, when an action is assigned or when a decision is assigned. We have a reporting area as well, and this just gives reporting on the statistics itself of the site. And we are able to capture who the administrators are of the site as well. We have a support area where you can access support at 24/7 through a telephone line, in addition email, and also being able to write to us. It's very important each time you set up MeetingSquared to be able to go through the settings area to make sure the right security settings have been set, as well as a link to the documents area. Once this has been done, we can then go back to the solution itself, where we can start to create committees and meetings for the specific users of that site, of the team and committee. This was an overview of the settings area and how to add an app part to your SharePoint site for MeetingSquared. Thank you very much.